Welcome. Hey, Ken. Hey, Angel. Hey, everyone. If you are live, #live. Today, I am meeting up again with the infamous Ben Adler, and always cool to catch up with him. I see these interviews as a way to really see like the growth that happened over. This is our third interview, and every single time Ben is just like killing it. He's just always improving and increasing. So it's very inspirational. If you guys were to go scroll back through the group and see all the other interviews and see how Ben has evolved, it's really cool. So if you guys have any questions about how to use scale software or anything like that, I want to make this interview super interactive with you guys. There's 7 of you watching right now. Yay! Joy is here. Joy's like, congrats, Ben.
Hey, Joy.
Maribel says live. Noita's live. Yes. And guys, if I see you go like this, Facebook user, make sure that you allow StreamYard to let me see your name. RJ is here. RJ, the man. All right. So awesome. Okay. So let's do a very quick recap on what made you get into software, like what, and also did you try software before doing this? So let's give them an origin story, like what led you into the Chromebox world.
Sure. So I was always interested in like software since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was teaching myself programming, and I would make little programs for people and try to sell them for like 25 cents or whatever. Nothing fancy at all. But it's just, I've always been interested in like, technology and using my creative energy to build things using computers. And I like the idea of like passive income, like just making something that makes money for you. The whole idea is just like fascinating to me, where you don't have to be there to work, like active income. So yeah, just from a young age, I've always been interested in this. And then out of school, I went to college to learn programming, and I got a job I was there for 8-9 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a long time. That's like dedication right there.
Yeah, I mean, I was comfortable there. Like the workload was good, and the environment was good. Mm-hmm. I don't recommend that. It's not good career-wise because your learning stagnates if you're in the same company for too long. Mm-hmm. Because different companies use different technology, and if you're not moving around, you get limited in what you learn. Mm. Anyways, so I left my job maybe 3 years ago to start my own software company. At the time, I was enrolled in another course that taught people software. And I tried a couple different ideas, and they didn't quite work out, which we can go into later on. Mm. And then I tried courses, and when I was trying courses, that's when I first built my Facebook group. And that Facebook group was about building blogs to make money, because I was also doing that at the time. So I thought I would make a course teaching people how to build blogs and make money from them. So I ended up making a course, and I realized I really didn't like making courses. Not that there's anything wrong with the business model. It just wasn't my thing. Just like making lessons and stuff. I didn't like doing that. So I still continued to grow my group, despite not offering courses anymore. And then, I saw Kim online with, someone was like interviewing you or something.
Who interviewed me?
He was a bigger guy. I forget what his name was. It was like
bigger as in physically big, or bigger as in like more following?
He was a physically bigger guy.
Okay.
He was just like a lot a little bit bigger.
Okay.
I forget his name.
That's fine.
he was a popular guy too in terms of marketing.
Yeah.
So I always was curious about like building simple software to make money. I like simplicity, so that really caught my attention. And it wasn't until much later where like I finally joined ChromeBoss. I actually joined ChromeBoss like while I was building my software.
Yeah.
So that's where I was at in the journey. So did that answer all your questions?
Yeah, it did. I'm curious about every single time I interview you, there's like another slice of information that I wasn't aware of. And so you took a software course way before you got into ChromeBoss, and like you tried different like did you launch a software before using that software course that you went through?
I did. It was for car dealerships, and I didn't know anything about car dealerships or sales or anything like that. So for me, entering into a foreign market with like no sales experience, like it was a very competitive market too. Like if you are a general manager at a car dealership, like you'll get 100 emails like every day, you know, like from vendors trying to pitch you something. And like, who am I just to, just to be like one more email or one more phone call, right? Like with like no experience and no connections. So I ended up getting like 2 beta users, which was a huge accomplishment for me, just getting something that someone wanted to try out and put it on their website, like a car dealership website. That was pretty cool. But it was just way too competitive in terms of like other vendors, and there was other issues too where like car dealership websites, they have a lot of call to actions on their website already.
Yeah.
So their web pages were already crowded too. Like,
gotcha. And I do want to get into like what didn't work. So what didn't work was super saturated. You didn't know a lot about it, and you created a software for car dealerships. That didn't work out. You got some beta users. Yay, Cecilia's here. You made it, Cecilia. By the way, you guys, take this time to ask questions, because I want this to be interactive, not just me and Ben just talking to each other, which is fine too. I'm okay with that. But now is your chance to ask Ben like a bunch of questions, because Ben's a busy dude. So this is that moment. All right. So with that said, you entered ChromeBoss. You said that you saw me get interviewed by a bigger dude. And then it was much later that you entered ChromeBoss, like a year later, 6 months later. I don't know. How long?
At least 6 months. I mean, it could have been a year.
Okay. And at that time, were you aware I have a software course?
I think you were just launching ChromeBoss. I think that's when you first launched.
Oh, okay. Well,
that might have been for your launch, actually.
Yeah, it's for my launch. ChromeBoss has been around for 2.5 years, so like a whole year.
But maybe it was that long ago.
It could have been. Who knows? I mean, you weren't keeping track of the calendar. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Joy had a question. Let's be interactive here. How were you able to leave your 9-to-5 job to move forward with your idea? So you quit your job after working for 9 years, and then and wait, at that time when you quit, did you have something going on already, or were you like, I'm done with this?
I had my blogs, but I did have a good safety net in terms of like savings, and I don't have much responsibility. Like, I have no kids. I'm not married. I don't really have any debt, or big expenses or anything. So for me, it wasn't that big of a deal to quit my job at the time, compared to someone else that might be in the more tight spot with more responsibility. But worst comes to worst, like I could find another job, and like programmers are in demand, and like right now there's like a job shortage or a labor shortage right now anyways.
It's true.
So it's like,
okay.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I figured like, why not? Like, I didn't have much to lose and I had a lot to gain.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Joy, he was just like, forget it. I'm not working full-time job for this company anymore. I'm gonna go and do my own thing. And was that keyword chef? Like how long after you quit your job did you come upon your software idea? And then I remember you said that you were building it in the midst of coming into ChromeBoss as well. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so when I quit, I didn't have a software idea at the time. I was trying to come up with an idea and build something. And that's during the time of the car dealership software. So that was like a few years ago, before Keyword Chef, which is my main product right now.
Okay. And so years. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what made you go into, what was your life like right before you entered ChromeBoss? You were coding, right? And
Yeah.
do you have a few customers at that point, like a few purchases or something? Or no?
I forget. It was very close, like timing wise, when I like launched versus when I joined. But I launched in late January, and I was doing user interviews, just like getting feedback from people about what they wanted to see in a keyword tool. And I was interviewing one guy, and I asked him, like, is this something you would pay for? And he's like, oh, I already did. And that was like my first customer. He bought my like biggest package. So that was like, that was good validation right there.
Yeah. And how much was that? How were your sales like around the time that you were launching and coming into? I remember you told me, and the story about Ben is, Ben actually had a call with me, and he's like, yeah, I have my software, I'm working on it right now, and then we saw that he's about to launch, so I'm like, okay, I think ChromeBoss would fit you because you're launching. And he's like, and I'm like, okay, are you going to invest? And he said no. Like, he straight out was like, I don't think so. So I'm like, okay. And I told him, I'll just check in with you in a couple of days. Yeah. And so he spoke with, you spoke with Michael Rosenberg, who's now on my team. And he just told you, hey, if you want to launch, like, come into ChromeBoss because it teaches you how to launch. And you're like, you showed up on the Friday, 2 days later, and you're like, okay, I'm all in here, pay in full. And that surprised me because it was such a shift in your thinking. I don't know. It was just, I rarely encountered that where someone's like, no. And then like 2 days later, here you go. I'm in. Well, I'm all in. And so talk to me about, let's talk about the numbers. Like, how much was your biggest package? How much were you making? What was your sale like? And then let's take us through, like, let's just do baby steps. What was your sales like? How much was that? And then after you jump into ChromeBoss, how much was the momentum of your first month? And then I'll ask you more questions from there.
My first 2 months were actually my lowest months. I didn't have this big launch like some people do, which is fine. I think it depends on your product and your audience and things like that, and what you're comfortable doing. But I just recorded a video about my app and I shared it with my group. I didn't even go live or send out any emails. I just did a walkthrough, and a few people signed up. I think sales were, I don't know if it was a first month or a second month, but I think it was around $600 or $700 for that month. And it just, continued increasing every month after that. More recently, I got some influencers on board who really love my product, so they're promoting it to their audience, which has been a huge help.
Yeah. So you were selling, so before Chromebus, you were selling like, maybe you didn't even sell. Maybe it was right when you were teaching, and I don't know. But like a couple $100, maybe, right? I don't know. How much was it?
When I first joined, like
Yeah.
monthly sales, or
Like before you joined,
Oh,
what was your sales?
I don't know. It was very close, so it's hard to like remember what it was before and after.
Yeah.
Like immediately after joining. So
Okay. So, but you got some sales under your belt, I think. Maybe. I don't remember either.
I can't remember.
You should remember. But yeah, no, you were just starting out, and then your first month was like $700. And then it just started growing from there. One of the things I want to highlight, what you said was really important, was with software, you didn't have to go live. You recorded yourself just with an update. And
Right.
One of the things that makes software so appealing to me, especially simple software, is there's not this big decision making that comes in either getting it or not. Like a little demo video or just you showing it that it works sells it. So that part of software really makes it feel really nice to go and sell it, because I'm not begging someone to like buy my stuff, you know? So talk to me about, how did it scale, let's say past $1,000 a month? Is it just some more influencers, some more, like, is it one email? Tell me the path. And also, this is to encourage those who are listening. You don't have to go running out of the gate like crazy.
Right.
You can take some steps one by one and then reach $9,000 month is possible. And that's not even the ceiling for you. So
no. I think the main two components were like just having a good community, which was my Facebook group, and then just having a good product that solved a problem really well. Like people tell me it's one of the best products. People tell me it's like the only tool they pay for. Like,
whoa.
Or like this is the only course. This is the only tool I tell my students about. Or like, it does something that a lot of these other keyword tools don't do. So I didn't do any. I did very little outreach. Like I didn't send any messages. I sent very little emails. I didn't send any emails in the beginning.
Yeah.
I've never gone live. It's still in my groups for my product. So a lot of it was just like community and having a good product, and a lot of it was word of mouth. But I want to mention, like, it's okay to start slow. Like, I would see like this does happen, but like, oh, so and so made like $10,000 in their first week. Like, that can happen, but if it doesn't happen, like, don't feel disappointed. Because for a normal like SaaS company that's like more complicated, it usually takes like 1 or 2 years for them to like figure out product market fit.
Yeah, and they're in the red for all that time. It's
yeah,
like,
so
that's how it's taught, really.
Yeah, for like more complicated software, like just because how long product development is and trying to get that feedback and iteration, you can take up to like 2 years to like build something that people actually want. Which is nice. The nice thing about Chrome tools is that life cycle is dramatically shortened, because you don't need to build software for 6 months. You can spend maybe a couple weeks depending on what it is, building something that solves one very specific problem. And it's easier to sell it too, like you were saying, Kim. Like, people see it, and if it's a problem they have, that they want solved, they'll pay for it, you know.
Yeah, I think the future is in these micro SaaS that solves one problem really well. That frees a lot of people from, because a lot of people's pain is, oh man, I'm not living the life that I want to live on my own terms because I'm trying to work to pay bills. And this is such, to me, it's such a no-brainer way to figure out something very simple you can solve, and then just start getting subscribers to pay you. And maybe it'll take you, you know, if it doesn't take you a couple months, it doesn't take you 5 months, maybe it takes you a year. That's still, you know, you could work at a company for a whole year. And, you know, there's a ceiling, there's time investment, there's all of that. And this just bypasses it in a way that most people don't even realize is the actual like cost. Well, you're a different case because you actually coded yours. I teach you not to code. And RJ said something that's really important that I want to highlight. Ben, he said Ben was like in every call sometimes, and sometimes it was just RJ and Ben. If you guys are questioning if your questions will get answered or not when you jump on a call, while we enroll Chrome bosses every single month, the actual number of people who show up to the calls isn't like hundreds of people or anything like that. You have time to ask your question, and it's kind of like one-on-one questions with the coaches in the community. And then I'm glad that Ben said right. So Ben, that leads me to my next question. And then after that, I'm going to ask Joy's question. So how do you feel about support inside of the Chrome Boss community in terms of coaches, as well as like, what about other people in there? How was your reality, like day to day, kind of changed in terms of support when you come into Chrome Boss?
Yeah, the support is good. It's not like you're just buying a course and you're going through the material on your own. Like, there's calls twice a week with you or RJ, and pretty much everyone has their questions answered on every call. And it's not like, you know, 100 people on the call. So like you'll definitely have time to get your question answered. So how it helps me is like, sometimes I get in my own head about something and like, I just need an answer to like move on mentally. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I remember that call I had with you where you're like, I never emailed anyone. And I was like, let's pull up a script. And then we like worked it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go email. And you're like, okay. And then you like you like fixed it up so that it's your own, you know, email. And you sent it and you're like, I sent my email.
That was my first one.
It was just like one thing.
Yeah. So it's just, from a mindset standpoint, it's really good just to have someone to talk to get out of your own head. Or there's also a chat room that we have on Facebook. And a lot of people are asking like technical questions. So like somebody might be trying to set up their funnel or work with a developer, and they don't know how to configure something or do something. So you can just ask the other people in the chat, and like there's other developers in there too that will help and help you out. So it's kind of like on-demand support in a way from the community.
Yeah, I feel very lucky that everyone's so supportive and nice. And it's really the community I want to be immersed in, really. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of mean people stepping over each other, which can happen in the software world, especially if people get really competitive. And, oh, I hear my echo or something. So let's ask Joy's question, because I want to make sure you guys are showing up, spending your time here. You could be anywhere that we answer your questions. What has been Ben's biggest challenge since starting? What's your biggest challenge?
I've had challenges, but I wouldn't. I mean, there were some hard things, but I wouldn't say like nothing particularly stands out. this might seem insignificant, but I spent like a good couple weeks trying to come up with a name that would for Keyword Chef. And then as I'm growing, there's more challenges technology-wise because I'm working with a lot of data. I'm using like different APIs, and part of it is like, how do I get this data cheaply and like store it in a way where people can, it's fast and cheap. So that, like I'm starting to run and bump into those scaling problems where I have to really think carefully about how like data is stored and which APIs I use, which is another reason why simple software is good, because you don't always have like this big database you need to deal with. But last week, one of my API providers, for some reason, they were saying I was using like 10 times as much bandwidth. And I looked at my number of requests and I looked at like my users, and everything else seemed stable. So like I was being charged for like, 10 times the amount normally.
Wow.
And, like nobody could figure out why. And they sent me a big log file, but like,
that's what happened with my electricity bill one time.
oh, yeah?
Edison's like, oh, you use too much. And I'm like, wait a minute, the meter is all wrong. I think it was either electricity or it was electricity or gas. No, it's electricity. But I mean, meters can be wrong,
Yeah. So like I spent like this past week just like making an update to keep costs down and prevent abuse, because a lot of people sign up for like 1 million free trials, and that costs me money. So like there's a lot more things I have to think about as I grow and in popularity with my tool. So that's one challenge I'm up against right now.
Yeah. So Joy, does that answer your question? So one of the biggest, it sounds like your name, Keyword Chef. You said you spent a lot of time thinking about the name.
Yeah.
I think name is important. It has to be a name you love to talk about. And so, yeah, I think you made a really good decision with Keyword Chef. By the way, you guys, when I'm saying Keyword Chef, use my affiliate link. kimseeding.com/keyword chef. Yes, this is, don't hop out of this interview right now. Stay, because we have more to discuss about Ben's story. But if you were to buy Ben's software, use my link. With that said, let's talk about the scaling aspect of it, because I think that's what most people want to hear. Probably is like how, and you scaled little by little. So it was an email. It was a first setting up your affiliates. Let's talk about that process. How easy or hard was it for you to set up an affiliate backbone to your software so that influencers and other people can talk about it?
Yeah. It was easy for me. Like I'm a developer, but there was only a few steps I needed to do to integrate it to my website. And RJ is very good at setting up First Promoter for people, and he'll do it for you for free if you join Chrome Boss. So
only if you join Chrome Boss.
So setting up the affiliate was easy, and I'm glad I did that. Like people were asking for it, so like it's good to have it in place sooner than later, even if you don't use it right away. Just because if like a big influencer reaches out to you and asks for it, you have it ready for them. Yeah, so that certainly helps. Like influencers doing reviews for Keyword Chef on their YouTube channel, that really helps a lot.
Okay.
But I'm still like developing my product. I'm getting closer to like the what I call the marketing phase.
Yeah.
Like what the first phase is like
product market fit.
yeah, validation, product market fit, and just like making something that someone really wants. And then once you have that, you can start promoting it more. Of course, there might be still updates you do, but once you have like a good core product, that's when you can start promoting. So that's the phase I feel myself heading into soon.
Great. Yeah, maybe you'll do that big launch. The launch like a pro, just run a contest, give away one packet. But yeah, I want to talk about you said about the mental, there's like mental stuff where you have to kind of like get out of your own way that Chromebots help you with. Can you give me some instances of some examples of that? Like, and the reason why I asked you this is because I think other Chrome bosses might also like have felt this way, but they just, didn't choose, to really see it in others, or they don't know that other people have it. Can you tell me some of like those challenges that you faced, that you were able to overcome and do?
Yeah, a part of it was like emails. Like I didn't know I don't know which email service to use, or like if about GDPR, whatever compliance, or like, so just like having someone to talk to and guide me was like a big help. Just like, because if I have an unanswered question in the back of my mind, like that's distracting for me when I'm trying to work on other things. So just like clearing my head was very useful for that. And just like getting out of my head about needing to do this big launch. Like I talked to Mike, and that really helped me too. And just I had questions about like legal issues, and we talked about that on the call too. Just having answers for me like helps me clear my mind, even if I don't act on it right away. Just having that answer is good for me.
Yeah. And I wanted to say that you show up, I mean, when you're not like super busy, but you show up very consistently, not only in the calls with Chromebots, but to your community, to the way that you help others, you answer questions. So you're not operating on this little island of like, hey, I made a product, come buy it. It's
Right.
like, hey, I'm going to go and help and provide value. And it's kind of comforting to go out there into the internet world and still be an introvert and then just give value, and then as long as you have something of value back that relates to what you're saying and you're contributing, you see those returns, you see that come back to you. And this is an interesting question. Let me know. Type down what is your name. So because StreamYard is not letting me see your name, what common legal issues do we have to worry about? So what was the legal issues that you asked? I don't even remember.
Like what kind of emails can I send out if people didn't opt in terms of GDPR compliance? Like what kind of emails am I allowed to send them was one question I had. And still today, I don't have like a privacy policy or anything like that on my page even. But I think when you're first starting out, like you don't necessarily need to get all caught up in that stuff right away. It's just like if an early adopter is willing to pay you, like you're probably not going to get in trouble legally, like until you're much bigger or something.
Yeah. So the legal rules are around email. GDPR is like email. You can't just spam people. Is really what that's about. And and if you do spam, they can report you, and then your deliverability decreases. And so it's no bueno. Go ahead.
Any legal advice is strictly educational and not to be used.
Legal disclaimer. Disclaimer here. It's just like when you guys ask me financial advice, I'm like, I'm not a financial consultant here. But yeah, that was Greg. Hey, Greg D. Yes. And then Jana says, I made it, Kim. I don't need the replay. Okay. You made it to the live, Jana. Jana just joined Chromeboss Elite. So congratulations. Same with Maribel. Same with a bunch of people. We have like 4 people joined so far. So remember, guys, the cart opened up yesterday and it's going to close on Tuesday. So if you're even slightly on the fence for coming in, make sure you open up a conversation that saves your spot inside of Chromeboss Elite. And then you can join Ben and the rest of the community. So don't forget to spend the weekend watching the replays if you need to catch up. And hashtag replay if you need to go to the replay page and you don't know where that's at. But okay, so back to the question. So the mental stuff is, just not having a lot of questions swirl around in your head as you're going about trying to do all the things, which is product fit, talking to people, messaging. I remember you even jump on calls with like random strangers, not random, but internet people. And tell me about I know you would declare yourself as introvert, but I think you're slowly coming out of like extreme introvert to,
normal introvert.
So tell me about that transformation. Like what made it easier for you? And also, you just really much marched towards the other side as I saw you, because you told me on one of the calls, like, I jumped on a call with this dude and I just talked to him for an hour.
Oh yeah.
That's not something a super introvert would do. So tell me about that. How did you get transformed as you were going through Chromeboss and then talking to people?
I think just like business in general and having an audience, if you want to be successful, you kind of have to put yourself out there, like either in a pre-recorded video or going live, or doing an interview with you, for example, right now, or a podcast. So like just the more times you do these things, talking with your audience or doing interviews, for me, it helps my confidence. Like I think it has to do with a lot with practice in general. The more you do something, the more comfortable you're going to get doing it. And then, having a product helps, like, just like, hey, I own a business now, that makes money. That's kind of cool too.
Well, no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Especially when in a day you make like $1,000 and you're like, Kim, I made $1,000 today. And I'm like, good. That's awesome.
That happened once or twice, $1,000 day.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. There are some kind of objections that I get from people who want this life of like having their own subscribers, getting into simple software, and they tell me like, I don't have an idea, so I can't do this. What have you seen in terms of like what exists, what really goes on? So kind of, it's one thing for me to tell people like, look, like this is the way of the world, and they're like, of course, Kim, of course you'll say that, you're like the course owner. But let's hear from you. Do people have to have like an amazing, big, crazy idea that you've seen to succeed? What have you seen in terms of like, I gotta have a really great idea to make this work?
Yeah, so I've kind of been on both sides of like this topic. I think there's like 3 ways of, I'm just thinking about this now. I think there's 3 ways of going about it. One is like, I need to come up with my own idea. which I think is like very common on like people just starting out in entrepreneurship. Like, oh, I need this unique invention to make money, or what unique thing can I sell? And doing that is, I think doing that is the hardest way, like trying to come up with an idea yourself. Another way of doing it is like find problems that need solving. So part of it is like what some people call like having green glasses, looking for opportunities, listening to people's problems, and thinking of solutions so you can solve for those problems. Like sometimes I'd be on like in a Facebook group, and then someone would ask a question like, oh, is there a tool that does X, blah, blah, blah. And there's an idea right there. Like,
oh my gosh, don't get me started on how many ideas you throw into this group.
I actually copied them and I put them in the group.
Go ahead.
A lot of them are like SEO related because that's my the field I'm in.
Yeah.
So there's like tons of SEO tools out there that you can build. The third way to think about it is like look at your own problems and then like come up with a solution to your own problem, which is kind of like what I did because I was running blogs, and so I built my own keyword tool. And this can work really well because like your own problems intimately. You're your own customer, and when you know that level of like detail that needs to be done, like you can build a really good product. That was one of the problems I had with a car dealership. It was like I was trying to solve a problem I wasn't like super familiar with, because it wasn't my own problem. So yeah, just like think of your own problems and that you have that could be turned into extensions, or find ideas from other people on like Facebook groups.
Yeah, on that vein, you toss a lot of ideas in there. Let's say let's say you don't do Keyword Chef, or you sold Keyword Chef for like millions of dollars exit, let's say.
Yeah.
How confident, given the tools, the information, and just like the awareness of that simple solutions can have subscribers? I get asked this because there's so much fear in like, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't work out for me? Because like how much confidence is there when you have an idea that you can get subscribers for it? Is it like 80% confidence, 90% confidence? Like what's that confidence level in how, I guess let me rephrase it. What's the ease of having confidence when you don't have any idea and then you come into this simple software world? What's your level of confidence that you can maybe jump into another type of business that's simple and you can get subscribers for it? Given what you know.
Relatively good. Like given like, well, what made it easy for me is like I'm promoting to an audience I'm already familiar with. Like I said, going into foreign markets I think is tougher. But I do have ideas for other tools I want to build, but like that would probably be pretty successful. I just don't want to be working on multiple projects right now.
Yeah, no, like, I want to answer that fear of coming in, not having an idea and thinking like, okay, maybe I can get this work. If my goal is to create passive income with subscribers on something that I don't have to buy a bunch of inventory for and all this overhead costs, that like it's there for the taking and it's possible. So kind of speaking more on that, like, because I think people still don't really believe it. They're like, oh, that's great, but I still need an amazing idea. I can't just solve my own problems, or I can't just look for a gap in the industry. That maybe for us it feels very close, like we feel closer to it, but for some people they're like, that's just talk, it's not true. So I don't know. For me, I feel like even if GroupConvert dies and the other extensions die, I have so much confidence that I can find where people are hanging out at. I can figure out a problem that exists in that place, and I can poke my solution in there, you know?
Yeah. Like, once you know how to do it, like doing it the second time is a lot easier. Like when I was doing the car dealership stuff, like I was still able to break into the community without knowing anything about cars. Like, because I ended up joining forums and just like helping out where I could, in like my own, in what I knew about and where I could help with, I helped out with. And I was actually able to connect with other influencers in the car space even, and there was a popular website. I actually ended up writing an article for them for their blog.
Oh, good job.
So there are ways to, like, pop into foreign markets, make connections. To me, that's just about, joining the community and helping out. Like, to me, that's what marketing is to me, like helping people.
Yeah. So, and
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. Once you get that concept of like helping people and offering value, like you can join like any community and just like start growing your audience. It certainly helps if you're more familiar with that audience, because you have something to talk about and more knowledge to share. But it can be done.
Yeah. I want to ask about like return on your investment, in terms of like how soon did you see like the actions that we're doing as a direct or indirect result of being inside of ChromeBoss paying off to you? How soon do you feel like it was like, okay, like this community is worth it, this investment is worth it because I'm getting this, or because I actually have some customers? Like how soon or how late did you feel that you're like, you're not, you don't come in and you're like, this is a ripoff, or like, screw this, for you?
To be honest, it wasn't right away. It was like a few months into the program. And it's just like, you have to like apply what you're learning. Like, I'm able to hop on calls and ask questions every week. Like that value just adds up on every call. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's important. That's, this is why I have these interviews, to let people know, like, hey, sometimes it doesn't feel right away. But Ben is not mad about it, that he's doing $9K a month now and, earn over $30,000. And he could possibly exit this company, or he could build out a really big, it could be a 6-figure year for you. So, and it's very important to know that for Ben, at his success, doing 9K a month, maybe hitting 10K soon, or 11K, and there's no ceiling. Right. Really, I don't see a ceiling for Ben. So he could be 50, 60K months. Here's the thing. It took him 2 months to make him feel like the things that he put in, the effort that he put in, was paying back. From the perspective of someone who is super introvert when he joined, and barely launching, barely there, to where he is now, with his momentum. So I want that to also be very transparent and say that, it feels different for everyone. And application is everything. Cecilia is like, application is everything. So it's like, the more you put in, Ben put in the work. Like, he put in the work. This is not, you can't just chill, sit back and chill. He put in the work, he put in the time. So
you got to show up if you want to get the value, with like any investment, like, or learning investment. You can't just buy it and expect it to like magically make you money. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to. That's why I show up all on the calls. You know, like I want all the value.
Yeah. I think, well, you're getting it.
Yeah.
Look at your success. This is so good. Like when I hear that you're doing well and you're like moving forward every single month, and it's just, to me, it's like, yes, this is why this is why I have the program. This is why I do what I do. It's because it's not just one thing. It can transform an entire life. It can be very impactful. And maybe you don't take everything in the course, you don't do all the things, but the things that you do apply, sending that email, doing that demo, talking to that person, all of this compounds. And you have the rest of your life, really. And it's, to me, it's a really cool feeling to have, right? Like, to know that there is no ceiling, or no ceiling you can see right now.
Right.
I don't know, but this can be possible for a lifetime. And so that's really why I created Chrome Boss, because the solution to having a life where you get to live, where you wake up excited, you have customers. Like, what other profession would it be where you're tied so closely to your customers, and you can have thousands of them, and they can be scattered all over the world, and so that when you travel, you might meet up with a friend or a subscriber or a customer. What other thing exists out there that can rival this type of like ability to connect with people than software? To me, I feel like very other professions would allow you to do this. Most people are in their office, or in their world with the coworkers that are around them. It's not this connection to possibly hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are real, that they have their full lives, they're there, and they thank you for you bringing your vision to life. Like, that's what you get to wake up to. And I think that is phenomenal. And it's not this chasm away, it's not like a whole world away. It's there if you know the right method, the right approach to get there.
Right.
And so yeah, like I find it super cool. So all right, so I think that's all the questions I have. Usually we go for an hour. I want to ask some selfish questions to promote Chrome Boss. If you're on the fence for Chrome Boss, and they come up to you and they're like, Ben, I don't know if I should come on in, what would you say to them? And then also, let's shout out your where can they find you? Where can they see? Whoa, you have websites around, right? Like, where can they visit you? What websites do you want to shout out?
Yeah, if you're thinking about joining, like, I think it's okay if you need to think about it, because like you said, Kim, like we had our first call and I had to think about it for a week. So like, if you feel drawn to do software, like, I would say join Chrome Boss, because like it helps you with the marketing. It helps you with like finding developers and working with developers, which for non-technical people, I think that's pretty scary, like hiring a developer for the first time. So like Chrome Boss, like, we have your back in that regard, in terms of like helping you every step of the way and getting your app launched. So you can find me on like Facebook, or like keywordchef.com is my website, the way it sounds. So
yeah. And but don't go to there. Go to go.kimgang.com/keywordchef.
Use Kim's affiliate link.
Use my link. Let me see. I think I could scroll up to it and highlight it. Go.kimcdang.com. Oh, here it is. Go.kimcdang.com/keyword chef. And that's my affiliate link. The cool thing is, you know, Ben, you paid to come into Chromeboss Elite, and now I am being paid if I talk about you as a successful student.
Yeah.
So it's like, cool. And you make money. So it's win,
Yeah.
win, 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 win all around. All right, Ben, thank you again. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you every single time I meet up with you to hang out. You're super awkward at the very beginning when I first interview you. And then like I can see like you become more and more and more comfortable doing these interviews.
It's all about practice.
Yeah, and reconnecting. So I really much appreciate your time. I love that you continue to contribute to the community so much. You drop your ideas all the time. It's super appreciated. And thank you for being part of Chromeboss Elite. I'll see you in the community.
Thanks,
All right.
Kim. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Oh, yeah. If you liked that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.